Hello, St. Patrick's and friends of St. Patrick's. A couple quick updates calendar wise. I want to make you aware of it. We are working on something for the Christmas holidays. We don't know yet what we're going to do, but some sort of outreach event. But because of that and some of the conversations we've had with the neighborhood, we're not going to do a trunk or treat this year. They've, for various reasons, think it might be better to do something for Christmas as an outreach event. So we're working on something with that. So keep that in mind. But also, we found out the chili cook-off for the neighborhood, which is a huge outreach event for this neighborhood and an opportunity for St. Patrick's people to come and engage with many folk, is actually moving up from November 16th to November 9th. So change that on your calendars if you could. Sunday, November 9th in the afternoon, there'll be a huge chili cook-off here at the church. And if you're interested, as many of you were last year and the year before, of entering in the contest, be sure to let us know. Let Jake know too, since he's our outreach coordinator, and he'll get you the right forms. One of the things that I wanted to follow up with from this past week is this idea of courage, since we've been talking about that, is to mention that our courage, Christian courage in particular, is not isolated in itself. It actually has a focal point or a reason that separates it from what a lot of times people could just describe as being reckless. What I find fascinating, I was reading this paper on courage, and the author brought up Thomas Aquinas's view of courage, and he said there's basically three kind of forms. The first form is your basic kind of what you might call civil courage. It's doing the right thing, being courageous in the face of like your normal community or socioeconomic, environment. The second one is a little bit different, and I wanted to talk a little bit about it. But the second one is not so much about the everyday aspects, but the willingness to be able to withdraw. So it's almost like a negative effect, to withdraw from maybe the crowd and the crowd's force to tempt you into doing what they're doing. Now, the third one, though, is especially important, because the third one is the one that really is unique to what we call as Christians. It's the complete purification of the soul. This one is the one that if you're reminded of the part, it reminds me of the part when Jesus says, anyone who would win his life or attain life must give up his life. And anybody who tries to hold on to his life will actually lose his life. And this is the purest form of Christian courage that we're talking about. Because what it does at the same time is it's not saying our life is worthless. It's actually holding up our life as priceless. But the good that God is calling us to is actually worth well more than our price. Worth more than our life. And so that's especially important when we talk about martyrs, or when you talk about somebody like Charlie Kirk, who was taken. Now we've now learned it was his life was taken because of his beliefs, largely his Christian beliefs. And so what you see is then that, like, in that instance, he had the ultimate courage, the most pure form of courage, that he realized that though his life or our lives are valuable, even priceless in God's eyes, for we are made in God's image, but that God's good is even more important. And so we lay down that, trusting in God for the better. And in our case, we have great hope, and that's the Christian hope, which is a slightly different conversation. Sorry, my phone just stood there. But that's the uniqueness of Christian courage, that it actually even puts in stark contrast the infinite value of a human life, or the priceless value of a human life, against the good that God calls us to. Which is why we said on Sunday, and it's important to remember that even in the face of evil and confrontation, ultimately, the Lord says, do not be afraid of those who can take your life, but only be afraid of the one who can take your life and soul. So just something to remember. All they can do is kill you. They can't take the truth from you, nor can they take Christ from you or you from Christ. So I hope that encourages you all this week, and we are praying for you. We got all these great cards of people that all of us are trying to invite, new neighbors and friends and family to St. Patrick's, and we'll be praying for these individuals, praying for you. Hope you're having a wonderful week, and we'll see you at the next event, men's group, women's group, pastorates, church on Sunday. All right, God bless everybody. Bye-bye.